Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we're gonna talk about how to get a work permit in the European Union. That's it, 13 ways for you to work in Europe. And before we start, the usual talk, you already know it. If you want to travel, move or invest abroad, hit the like button. Check our other videos, book a consultation call with me, the links in the description. And most importantly, subscribe. Let's start. We're going to start with the easiest way to work in Europe. The easiest way to work in the European Union is also the most obvious one. It is by finding a job. The requirements for finding a job in the EU might change from country to country and also from your current country of citizenship. Some EU countries have partnerships with non-EU countries for employment of non-EU nationals, depending on the demand on their job market. In order to successfully land a job in Europe as a non-EU citizen, you need to find a company that is willing to sponsor your work and residence permit. If you manage to do so, you'll be able to work in Europe for that company in that position. Although this is probably the most straightforward process, it also has one important disadvantage. The disadvantage lies in the fact that your work and residence permit will be tied to that specific job, meaning that you will not have full access to the job market in case you want to change the company you were working for. The second option to get a EU work permit is getting the relatively new EU Blue Card. The EU Blue Card works similarly to finding a, let's say, normal job, as you need to find a company that is willing to hire you. But that's where the differences start. To qualify for the EU Blue Card, the job needs to have a gross salary which is significantly above the country's minimum salary, whatever that EU country is. The benefits are equally different, which in this case are much better than finding a normal job. In a much shorter time, you'll be able to get a permanent residence permit and access the local job market unrestrictedly. So the EU Blue Card, much harder to get, but much better to finding a normal job, so to say. Another way to be allowed to work in the European Union is by becoming a student. The advantage of this solution is that if you have the funds, you can sponsor your own studies in Europe, and you'll not have to depend on a single company willing to hire you from abroad. Once you have a residence permit as a student in a EU country, even if you are a non-EU citizen, you will be usually allowed to work in that country. The disadvantage of this option is that the number of hours you can work per year will be capped. In almost all countries, you'll be not able to have a full-time job in the EU while you are a student, if you are a non-EU citizen, as the main purpose of your stay is to study and you should devote most of your time to that. That said, in many cases, as a student, you will have at least some access to the local job market, although in a restricted manner. The next option is also related to studies, and it is one of the most effective and inexpensive ways to access the job market in a European country. It basically works like this. Upon finishing your higher education diploma in the European country of your choice, in many cases you'll have your residence permit extended, usually for a period between 6 months and 2 years, for you to find a job. Considering the fact you already finished your studies and you have time in the country to look for a job, the likelihood of actually finding something is far greater than if you apply from outside the country. Not all European countries have this option, but some pretty popular ones like the Netherlands, Sweden and Belgium have this kind of residence permit extension for students. Moving to the next option, which is one of the best options in terms of having unrestricted access to the job market in the European Union, which is by having a family member who is a citizen of the European Union. This doesn't apply to all types of family members, but it is a good option if your partner, for example, is a citizen of a country in the European Economic Area and you are not. If your close family member is residing in a EU country, and if you live with him or her, you will be able to apply for a residence permit and have access to the job market on the same grounds as local citizens. In this type of authorization, you will actually not need a work permit, and your residence permit will suffice to apply for any job. A new option that is popping out in many European countries is the Digital Nomad Visa, our next option. The Digital Nomad Visa will allow you to live and work in the country where you hold it, but it will not give you unrestricted access to the job market. In this type of visa, which is more like a residence permit, you will be only allowed to continue your job or activities online, which already provide you with income. You need to show you have this income to apply for the visa, and the financial requirements change from country to country. Another popular option if you want to work in Europe, especially if you don't plan to move permanently to the old continent, is the Work Holiday Program. The work holiday program usually works through bilateral agreements, meaning that if citizens of your country can do it in a given destination, citizens of that country can also come to your country for the same purpose. Initially, the countries eligible for this program were mostly English-speaking Western countries, but the list is growing year after year. Currently, apart from US, Canadian, Australian and New Zealand nationals, also citizens of countries such as Argentina, Brazil, Taiwan, Chile, Israel, and a few other non-European countries have at least one country in Europe where they can benefit from this program. The disadvantage is that this program is limited to usually 1 or 2 years, and in most cases there's also an age limit in most countries offering this program. The next option is probably my favorite one to access the EU job market. It is getting a residence permit by being self-employed. If you have a skill like being a designer or software developer or even a mechanic, for example, you may decide to become a self-employed person in some EU country. The advantage here is that you don't need to find a company that is willing to hire you, nor you have to hire your own staff. However, there are also important disadvantages here. The most significant one is that most countries in the EU do not offer this type of residence permit, but many countries still offer it, like Spain, Hungary, Slovakia, and many others. The next option to access the EU job market is by getting a company director residence permit. The company director residence permit is obviously aimed at those running a company. The difference from the permit for self-employed persons is usually in the type of company structure, but not only that. There are also more countries willing to give you a company director's residence permit. This is the main advantage to that, compared to the self-employed residence permit. Being that said, the financial requirements also tend to be higher for company directors. Moreover, you can only work in your own company using this type of residence permit. The next option, which applies basically to no one watching this video, is the situation in which you have extraordinary skills or relevance in a specific field. Let's say if you're a celebrity or a soccer player or a scientist or a writer. In many countries, and depending on how relevant you are in your field, you will be able to get a residence permit and also the right to work in the field where you are really good at, by passing any work permit quotas and most laws regarding the labor market for, let's say, average workers. Coming back to reality, let's talk about one very little known option to be able to reside and work in Europe, which is to become a branch representative of a company incorporated abroad. The requirements here will vary greatly on how big the company abroad must be, but in some cases it doesn't have to be very big actually. This will depend on country to country. Many countries might not even have this option available. The disadvantage here is that you'll be only able to perform activities related to this company incorporated abroad. In other words, it is a good option if you work remotely or if you are a sales rep of a company from abroad, but you will not have unrestricted access to the local job market. As we move towards the end of the video, the next option is one you have definitely heard about previously in many videos on the channel. It is the Golden Visa. The Golden Visa basically allows you to come and go unrestrictedly to the country where you hold it. In all cases, it involves the investment of a substantial amount of money, which is usually related to a real estate purchase or investing in a local financial fund, among other less popular options. Among the various benefits of the Golden Visa, the full access to the local job market is usually one of them. The contradiction lies on the fact that if you have the money to invest in a Golden Visa, you'll probably not be looking for a job. But at the same time, if you want to run a business just to keep yourself busy, the Golden Visa will certainly help you getting through the bureaucracy very smoothly. The last option I'm going to bring in this video is being allowed to access the European job market by getting EU citizenship by Ancestry. As I have discussed in many other videos, if you have an ancestor, which can be a parent, a grandparent, and in some cases even great-grandparents and beyond, you may be eligible for the citizenship of the country of your ancestor. The requirements change from country to country, but in some cases you can get an European passport even without ever setting foot in the old continent or speaking the country's language. If you are eligible for citizenship by Ancestry, once you get your passport, you can evidently come to any EU country and look for a job on the same terms as everyone living there. That's it for today's video. Write down in the comment section below if you plan to come to Europe to look for a job, or if you already have income and want to live in Europe anyway, or if you just want to come to Europe and you don't want to think about working at all. And to end the video, the usual spiel: if you want to travel, move or invest abroad, hit the like button, check our other videos, book a consultation call with me. The link is in the description. And follow the advice of every other YouTuber. Subscribe. See you next time.